If I'm happy to stand up against Donald Trump, I'm really not that bothered about standing up against this guy that's trying to tell me what to do. She is taking no prisoners, and I feel that she feels that she was silenced and she wants to say her piece. And yeah, boy, is she saying it in court.
The stories of the day with Giles Corn and Jane Moore. We're going to talk now about Donald Trump's criminal trial. The judge tried their best, but despite giving the former porn star Stormy Daniels some tight parameters, many a salacious detail about her alleged sexual encounter with Donald Trump slipped out in court in New York. What type of pajamas he allegedly wore, and I hate to say this to you, but whether he did or did not use contraception. We were told by the former Assistant US Attorney David Katz that the judge should have stopped the jury from hearing that, and that an appeal could now be more likely because of it. Jane, I know you've interviewed Stormy Daniels. Did you feel the same way, that this was a little bit ick? This is a bit too much information?
Listen, they've tried to silence her and threaten her, and she is the one tough cookie, let me tell you. You know, you don't kind of come up through the porn industry as a delicate little flower, and she is really, really tough. And when I interviewed her, there was some issue, I won't go into the details, but there was some issue with the lawyers, and she was just like, I don't care, whatever, you know, if I'm happy to stand up against Donald Trump, I'm really not that bothered about standing up against this guy that's trying to tell me what to do. She is taking no prisoners, and I feel that she feels that she was silenced and she wants to say her piece. And yeah, boy, is she saying it in court.
But the problem here, of course, is that if she does say some of that piece and some of that detail, it could make an appeal more likely.
Yeah, I don't think she would really, I mean, I'm not going to speak for her, it's up to her, but I don't think she'd be that bothered about it. I think she's happy to take this issue on and say what she wants to say, because obviously she was paid $130,000 not to say it, and now she wants to say it.
Yeah. Giles, have you been reading every detail of this, or is it giving you the ick? The reason I ask, I suppose, is because it gave me the ick, and I had to stop reading at one point because I didn't really want to hear any more about it. But it's one of the most read pieces in the Times.
Yes, and that's what matters. Clickbait. I mean, in terms of the ick, the weird thing is, yeah, nobody wants to imagine Donald Trump having sex with anyone.
Oh, very good.
It's one of those things, isn't it? I don't want to imagine anyone having sex. It's hard to imagine your friends having sex. It's one of those, famously, it's a bit of a click. You know, I can imagine me having sex, but which I'm sure no one else wants to do. So it's anyone. It is sort of more disgusting that it's him. It's sort of funny following it. I don't follow it hugely. I read it this morning. I love the fact about her porno film company sponsoring a hole at the golf tournament, and I was going to write how funny that was, but they acknowledged in court that it was funny. I couldn't help laughing when you said just now said Stormy Daniels was given tight parameters.
Oh, I know. I know.
And it's like, it's not even a double entendre. It's just sort of, it becomes funny because it's porn, but of course the sex industry is also not funny. The thing about it is, really, is it's like, it's just not, we're all following this, not, we don't care about justice, we just don't want Donald Trump to be president again. So we don't know, we know that the trial isn't bad for him. He's doing it instead of rallies. It's not going to affect his vote base. But we're thinking, well, if he's convicted, maybe that means he can't be president, and which is what we really want. But it's not the worst thing he's done. He hasn't. I don't think he's done anything that bad.
That is the irony. He's in this because he allegedly sort of, used business money, falsified records, whatever, to pay her off. And probably if he hadn't paid her off and just let her tell her story, it wouldn't have made a jot of difference anyway, because there are people that vote for Trump who would vote for him regardless.
All he's done is used the wrong credit card. My wife does that all the time. She knows absolutely that restaurants go on expenses, so use the company card, and yet she puts it on the debit card.
All right.
I give her a talking to, but she doesn't go to prison. He needs to go for incitement to mutiny.
Yeah. Lock her up. Lock Esther up.
There she is. See her? Courthouse.
This was a very big day, a very revealing day. As you see, their case is totally falling apart. They have nothing on books and records, and even something that should bear very little relationship to the case. It's just a disaster for the DA, for the Soros-backed DA. It's a disaster. This whole case is just a disaster. If you read the legal scholars, you'll see, because they're writing about it, they've never seen anything quite like it. And neither have I. I should be out campaigning right now. We're leading in all the polls. I'd like to be campaigning. We'll be leading by a lot more. But I just want to appreciate the job you're doing. It's not easy standing there all day waiting, but you're hearing the same things that we're hearing. On another matter, as you know, it's Biden's backers that seem to be funding what's going on with the Palestinians. They're probably not Palestinians, they're agitators, bad agitators, really bad. And I think our government ought to find out who they are, where they're from, and treat them the same way as they do the J6 hostages. You got to treat them the same way. These are agitators. They're really hurting our country. It's happening all over the country in cities. You saw what happened last night at the Metropolitan Museum. These are agitators. And in some of the colleges, I think it's about 20% student and 80% others. So this is a big problem, and they better nip it on the bud. And it's a problem from the left, not from the right. This is a problem from the left. And I hope you're going to stress that. The economy is not doing well. You see inflation is through the roof. They're not going to be able to lower interest rates. If they do, it's purely political. But it'll be very bad if they do from the standpoint of getting rid of inflation. You have to get rid of the inflation. Inflation, as you probably have heard me say, it's a country buster. It busts countries. And it has for 1,000 years. You go back and you look at old-time Germany, you look at a lot of countries that went through the kind of inflation we're going through, and they're busted. They are just broken up in many cases into little pieces, and that's what could actually happen to us. So we have to get inflation under control. We have to get prices down so that people can breathe, people can live, so they can live. But again, this was a very revealing day in court. Any honest reporter would say that. I would recommend you read Jonathan Turley and Andrew McCarthy and Alan Dershowitz, Greg Jarrett, Mark Levin, very talented people, and others. There's some incredible people out there that are writing about this trial. They're calling it a disgrace. It's a disgrace. In the meantime, I'm stuck. I'm here. Instead of being in Georgia, instead of being in New Hampshire, instead of being in Wisconsin, and all the different states that we wanted to be in, we're not able to be there because we're stuck in this trial, which everyone knows is a hoax. Thank you very much. Thank you.
What's so revealing today?
Should there still be a mistrial?
Why is the case a disaster?